Next slide. A little bit about Magic Minds. As I mentioned, we started in 2010. We've got 80 consultants across Australia, the US and India. We've got a huge amount of strong relationships across the board. Some of our customers, we have Tata, we've worked with Gemini in Victoria, PowerCore, AusNet. Some of our customers who are using Fieldon, as you can see on the screen, I'm not going to go through it all, but we're looking forward to showcasing this, and we really hope you enjoy what Karthik's about to present. Thank you.
As I start this presentation, I just request you take it 30 seconds. If you have a pen and paper right next to you, just take 30 seconds and write down what is that primary field challenge that is causing pain to you. Just write it down. It could be a 1 word, 2 word, a sentence. Just write it down. What is that pain problem that you have today with respect to your field workforce? And just below it, write 3 things that can actually solve this pain for you. And keep this note with you, as at the end of the presentation, I'll help you understand how that problem which you have written in your paper is relevant to the presentation that we are doing, and how the field workflows can be enhanced, improvised, and can be taken to an efficiency level where you would be able to deliver the maximum output through the digitization platforms. Are you with me on that? Perfect. So, a brief about myself. I've been working with utilities across the globe, helping in the digital transformation for the last 8 years. I've worked with some of the pioneers in the field, like North America, Florida region, Tatas of India, in Gulf Nation region, Singapore region, working with utilities in Australian region. Around more than 15 organizations I've worked in the last 8 years, helping them design and execute their digital transformation journey. And today, I bring you the key insights that I have learned and tried to build them together in delivering a digital platform that can actually help every organization achieve their digital dream. Are you excited to learn from me today the key insights that I gained working with larger corporations across the globe? Great. Thanks for being on this webinar. First of all, I really thank you because you showed up today for making a change in the way the workforce is executed today. How to use your do-it-yourself platforms to design your workflows and apps for collecting data from the field at a fingertips of your mobile workforce. I'll help you learn how you can cut down that manual overheads and automate at every possible step in your digitization, in your field workflow. And finally, I have a surprise for you. Trust me, I have a very sweet surprise for you at the end of this webinar, which will sound very sweet to your pocket. With that, let me jump in to today's presentation. As we've seen from the title, what we are saying is that getting your asset inspections done through a digital process, which will reduce the manual effort and cut down the paper usage. But why do we care? Why do we care about the asset inspections? Why the field workforce mobility is such an important thing for a utility or a telecom company? The primary reason is that the network that is on the field, that is their primary or crucial element in their balance sheet. When you look at the balance sheet of the company, okay, it's the assets that are there on the field, and how they are performing is actually telling how the company's growth is. If my assets are working well, what does it indicate? My service is good. When my service is good, my customer is happy. When my customer is happy, eventually I'm getting more connections and I'm able to serve better way, right? So they form the crucial part of my balance sheet. When they are the crucial part of my balance sheet, what I need to do, I need to take care of it. So what something that is important to us, what do? We take care of it, right? So how do we take care of our assets, which are crucial part of a balance sheet? We do regular inspections. At the site, we do the inspection for the asset. To ensure the surroundings of the assets are good, we do the site inspection along with asset inspection. And then we do a proactive measures when you know that the weather is going to change, when a storm going to come, when there could be a rainy day, you know that certain assets need to be taken care of, and you perform an inspection for it. That increases the lifespan of it, which can prevent any hiccups in the service delivery. And finally, perform this task of asset inspection. It's not an ordinary job. It requires a skilled workforce and also an intelligence that has been built across the time. See, some of the networks I see are not that have been built in the 20th century. They are built sometime early in the 19th century. That is the network we're still having them. So there is a lot of skill and also knowledge associated with that network. See, if you're going to your workforce who is experienced or is around the age of 35 to 40, in the 15 years of his experience, he might have seen many failures, and he will be the first person, if you just call him and say an address where there could be service disruption, he would be able to tell you what is the upstream connected device, where is the nearest substation, or where is the near gas station. That's his experience that talks. Now, that is what is the skilled workforce we talk about. Regardless of the size of the company, companies lose revenue due to the inability to track when inspections are needed, or asset locations at the exact asset location, the time that is taken to figure out the exact location of an asset. It has been proved that again that if you know the right location and you have the right skill set, perform these asset inspections. We say this asset inspections are such a critical thing. What do we see as a challenge in performing it? Some of the key things which we have seen when we are working with organizations across the globe is that some of the organizations are still paper driven. There's a field workforce that goes on to the field, third-party contractor collects the information on the paper. There are multiple sheets, one sheet for capturing information about the corrections that needs to be done, one sheet about the next inspection schedule, one sheet about the number of effort, the number of work hours that have been spent in the inspection, what kind of equipment we use, all this collated, come back to office, submit it, someone sits down on the system, digitize it. Tedious process and a lot of manual errors. There's an additional effort that is required to enter this data, not into a single system. There are multiple connected systems. All this information that is being collected from the field during an inspection or an audit, or even during a repair, that needs to go back into all these systems. One of the scenario we see is that, which is been slowly getting resolved with introduction of GIS systems, is that location of an exact location of an asset to perform the inspection when the network is in underground is a challenge, right? So we are still stuck at organizations where they do not have the GIS system has been implemented, but the field force do not have the network on their device. Obvious security reasons, but the application is not providing that assurance that the network is secured even when the third-party contractors are carrying on the device. No validation to ensure what are the data that has been collected by the field team is actually accurate. I've seen cases wherein third-party contractors taking the job to perform the field inspection, not visiting the site, but just manually filling the values based on the previous experience without visiting the site, which eventually led to larger disasters. And one of the key problem statement in the last 2 years or the last few years we have seen is that the great crew challenge. What is it? The skilled workforce is getting retired. The new workforce which is coming in do not have that experience, and there is a lack of gap. There's a gap in terms of the information, which is delaying the process. And day to day, with every changing day and every changing environment, we see that the compliance that is being put forward by the regulators, it could be Australian electric regulation or it could be gas regulation, that keeps every day improvised to ensure the standards are being met. And to meet the regulatory compliances, the organizations putting money in, investing more capex costs to get the applications implemented to get aligned to the compliance. And finally, working in silos, lack of process. Can you correlate to any of these problems that have been put together? There are a few of the challenges that we have seen. Do you have any other challenge? I would like to know. Just put it in the chat box if you see any other challenge that you face with your workforce. These are some things we could curate from the larger experience that we have, and something I can say that these are top 7 challenges that I have seen. What are the challenges that you have seen? Just feel free to write in the chat box and everyone know the kind of challenge that is being faced by your industry or your domain. If you have to optimize this field work, okay, there are some essential elements you should look out for that can help you drive your automation, safety performance, and reach operational excellence in asset inspections at your organization. I'm not talking about just a small change. I'm talking about getting an 8 to 10% reduction in the time spent to inspect your assets. The first on the list is a Go Digital platform. We have been hearing about this for the last 4-5 years. When we talk about digital transformation, we are saying go mobile. However, significant challenge over there is that when you're going on the mobile, the ease of use. Your mobile application that you take is not only the mobile application. It needs to be a complete set that can truly empower your workers. See, I would say that when you go mobile first, your field crew should not be afraid of the word digitization or mobile solution. It should make their life easier, not complicated, right? So how does that come? It's the ease of the use and configurability. If I say that you have a mobile application and every time there's a new regulatory compliance coming or a new data needs to be captured, I need dollars from you so that I can implement it as an IT and give you that solution. That means it is becoming a continuous capex cost. You need to invest into it, and ROI of it, how much you are able to make out of it, is something that is lower than what you're investing, right? But the application should give you a capability to configure it the way you need it and being flexible enough to make the use easy. One important thing which I've seen is that when systems come into picture, the back office team gets tedious because they need to scroll through the number of clicks to identify what are the challenges in the data. Like for example, let's assume at a particular site and you're doing an excavation, you're digging in, and the depth of excavation cannot be more than 5.5 feet. But whereas, or it needs to be 1.5 feet, cannot contractor sees some challenge over there and it does a 1.2 or does a 2.1. Now, due to this, how would actually the back office team come to know? Data is collected on the mobile device, fine. But then if he has to identify that there is a challenge with this particular asset excavation, then he needs to scroll through all the records. That is not what the digitization need to do. Digitization need to give a flexibility where it can raise alarms, validate the data through the business rules and say, I received a record that has been submitted from the field team, and I see that these 3 values are not in line to what that is expected. That is the alarm raised in this, that intelligence that system need to provide. That is when we are saying that digitization is being done, right? If your field inspections need to be less manual dependent, then your systems should be equally intelligent. You cannot say that, okay, I've implemented a digitization system, but it's not smart enough or intelligent enough. That is okay for me. Chalega, it will work for me. That doesn't work, right? You need to have a system which is digitized and also smart enough to give you that alarms. And one of the tedious thing is that when this data comes in, there are many stakeholders. let's assume there's a repair work being done and there is a new asset that needs to be installed. First, you need an approval for getting the repair work done. Then you need an approval from the inventory team to replace the asset and to give an asset for replacement. And then you need to get an approval from the maintenance and schedule team so that they can actually schedule an interruption to the consumers. And then you need to get an intimation done to the GIS team so that they can tell you what corrections are being done and they are vigilant about what is coming in. So if all the approval process need to be completed and the time you implement it, it takes a week off, which is a long time. Your system needs to be capable enough to give you that approval process wherein when you log in some information into the system, it can run the approval process. And finally, it is something that needs to be reliable. I'm certain that many of us opt for an Apple phone or a Samsung phone, which is more standard than going for any device which is local manufactured or not having a standard in the industry. The very simple reason is that we are putting money into it, so we see reliability on it. Is it reliable enough for me to use it? Right? And the same thing, when you have your asset, which is a crucial part of your balance sheet, you need to ensure that it is, if you are implementing a system, it is completely reliable. Agree to it? If that is something we all agree upon, I would like to bring it to you a use case for demonstration how what we spoke about the challenges and what we saw as an optimization to perform this field work or inspections more reliably. I'll try to walk you through a system which will give you a capability to create that app or form by yourself with your own team that is sitting in the back office with no knowledge about writing code in Java or changing JavaScript, Angular, not required. If he knows what work needs to be done, giving him the capability to get that work done, assign that job to field engineer remotely, field engineer getting a notification on his mobile device, he being able to see his GIS maps on the mobile device. When there is no network, he being able to go into an offline mode, still capture the information, submit that information back by connecting to a coffee shop Wi-Fi or coming back to the office and then submit it through a Wi-Fi into the system. The system taking care of distributing the information to all the stakeholders and getting the approval. And finally, also taking care of pushing this information back into your GIS system. It could be your ESRA system, it could be your G small world system, or it could be an open source system, pushing the information to back that into that system, and also exchange the data with your SAP or ERP system. And through this demonstration, you have written one challenge at the start of this presentation. I asked you to write down one pain statement that you actually facing to run three key things that can actually solve your problem. If you have it with you, great. If not, I'm giving you again another chance. Write down one field process that you use in your organization today, which needs an improvisation, and you will start correlating with every step I perform and how it can improvise your workflow. Let me quickly share my screen to you. So let me just log into the system. Into the system now. I'll log in with an administrator or a dispatcher who's sitting in the back office and identified that there's an inspection work that needs to be done. And he does not have the respective app or form on the third-party contractor's mobile device. So let me just go in and say, okay, there's a new regulatory compliance and I need to ask my field inspector to collect some information. So I'll say, okay, asset inspection for new compliance code AUS 324432. Okay, so I've just created one new form. I'm saying this is for an survey to be done. And then I'll just click go. What I would do now, I'll try to add all the information that needs to be collected. Okay, I'll just drop in and say, what's the asset type? I'll try to add some values saying that, okay, valve, just taking relevance to gas industry, pole, making it relevance with an electrical industry, and then maybe pipe, considering a water industry. And I'll say this is information that is required. So I've added a new field and I'll say, what's the asset number? This can be barcode scanned as well. So I'll just say asset ID. This is required for me, which is mandatory field. Okay, I'll say asset is required. And then I'll say, I'll add a Dropbox saying, I'll add a checkbox over here saying asset condition. I'll say good, needs repair. I'll say needs replacement. I'll just require, and then I'll say save it, and I'll try to add, I want to capture a photo on the field, photo of the asset. And if I want this to be geotagged, I can just say geotag it so that I'll know the exact location where the asset is located. I want to get the information about the location where this information is, where the asset is located. So I'll just say asset location for confirmation. Okay, and I'll say select it, and then I'll also say the date when this data is being collected. So that a calendar field over here, date of inspection. I'm actually designing an app for you straight away without even writing any code. I hope you can see that. And then I'll just say I barcode scan the asset. And that's it ID. Okay. And then done. I save it. Boom. My new form or new app is created, which can be sent to my third-party contractor for capturing the information right now. Before we do that, we said that the system needs to be intelligent enough, right? Let me define some rules on this. I'll say if my asset condition contains a value which needs repair or needs replacement, raise an alarm for me. Good, right? So it is giving me, I'm able to define it in the system what needs to be done. So we have done 2 steps. Just write it down on your paper for your reference that we are able to dynamically create a form or an app. 1, 2, we're able to design and define rules for raising alarms when the data is not in line with what we want. Okay. Let me just go ahead and create, as part of asset inspections, I'll create new an assignment to one of my field engineers. So I'll say assignment name, asset inspection in Melbourne CBD. Okay. And then it needs to start. I'll select a form for it, which we have created right now. I'll assign it to my field engineers. And I'll say that this task needs to be completed by 30th of this month. So the assignment is done. And now when one more thing is that we need reference of the location of the assets, right? So what I have done is that while creating this job, I actually gave the network GIS layer that needs to be accessed so that they'll be able to see this data on their devices. So how do I do it? I just go to settings. I have a layer configuration. I just click on a button and say, okay, this is my layer name and which system it needs to come from and what is the type of the layer, whether it's a WMS or WM. If you're having a knowledge about the GIS system, this is where the asset information comes from. You don't need to do any new development for it. The system gives you a capability to bring in. That's where the system smartness or the intelligence we are talking about, right? That comes into picture. Now, when you have this information, if I start switching onto my mobile device, I'll just stop the share for a moment and share it from my mobile screen, where I open my app, mobile app, and see that I've received a notification saying that there's a work that has been assigned for me. Work assigned for form asset inspection. So new job assigned to the field engineer without making a phone call or he coming back to the office. I go into the assignments. So if I just open it, I see a couple of them. So I just need to see if I have the right dates given for this task. If the job is activated. Okay, let me just activate the job. Perfect. I've activated the job. So I see that job right now on my mobile device. When I click on it, I can see a map at the top. I can see one of the network layers available for me for display. If I select it, I see the network information on my map. You don't need to get entire information. We're talking about security, right? We don't need to give the entire information to the field crew. Only the information about the network layer, which is required for getting his job done. That's the only information I'm trying to provide him. These are the locations where the assets are located, where the inspections have to be performed. I go back, click on the plus button. So I select the asset type. You need to see that I've not updated my app. I've not reinstalled it. I've not reconfigured it. I designed an app on my web portal, administrative portal, in a simple drag and drop fashion, and it is available for my field engineer on the mobile device to capture the data straight away. So I'll say it's a pole. A pole inspection is being performed. The asset ID of the pole is P234. Asset condition needs replacement. And I capture the photo of the asset. Let me just take a sample photo. So I've captured a photo. I just mark a red marking on this photo because I have identified the location where replace damage is there. So I'll just write damage over here and save it. I'll capture the location coordinates, the date of inspection. If I have a barcode, I can very well scan it. And what I would do is that take a quick look into this. This is something that will be really useful. I'm saying something like sketching, where I go on to the asset location. So here are my located assets where I'm actually doing an inspection for a particular pole. So this is my pole where I'm doing an inspection, which I'm saying is damaged. So what I would do is that I'll place a point over here and tap on it and say new pole. Okay, this is P234 is a pole ID we have written. This I'll say new pole location. I'll say type, this is type 1, and status, this is the planned one. I'm proposing this to be done. And this is the date where I'm planning it. So I've captured the asset information over there, and then I'll come back and I'll say there's a line extension that needs to be done from here to here because I've changed the location of the pole. And then I just save it. So along with asset inspection, I'm actually doing a drawing on my map, doing a sketching so that this information can be exchanged with my GIS team without requirement of a post data survey to be conducted after the repair is conducted or the inspection is completed. I just go ahead and submit it. I thought of my device. It has been submitted. I can go into the history and still see the information that has been submitted. You can see the sketching that has been done. Okay, all is intact. So this information is out from my device and it's been submitted to the back office team. Before I switch back and show you how the information is visible on the back office device, let me show you one more thing. I just go into my settings and say, switch off my network for this app. So the app is currently in offline mode. I come back. I click on assignments. Oh, I do not see this assignment. Let me just go back. I'll switch on the network again, come back over here. I see the asset inspection, so I'll just say download it. So that when I go offline, I have it now right now for data capture. I click on it. I can continue to capture the same information again. Location, coordinates, photo, all the information I can recapture it. I can just say a pipe, asset ID, PIP 765, and I'll just save it. Form is saved successfully. When the network is back, I can just sync it with my server so that the information gets submitted. So you can work both online and offline. And one key aspect you need to see is that below the network menu option, you see something called as select GPS device. That means the application provides you a capability to connect with a third-party device, which can give you a higher accuracy in terms of GPS. You don't need to rely on the GPS of your mobile device. You can actually connect a third-party Bluetooth GPS device to get a higher accuracy in the information that is being captured. You can see that whatever the work that you have written as a field workforce that needs to be done, if they're associated with data capture, if they're associated with something related with map and assets, something related with accuracy of the data, we have touched every element of it in terms of data capture. It was the ease of use is simple because the number of clicks is less. It's quick to use, right? Now let me switch to my administrative portal and show you the information which we collected. How does that look like? Probably there was a small glitch. So this asset inspection in Melbourne in CBD, that's a job we have created. So let me go in. This is the information that has been submitted. And this is the place where the record was submitted. So we know where the information was submitted by the field crew. So if I just click on the record, I see the information that has been collected. And you can see right now, you can see a flag against that asset condition. There's a red flag against that asset condition. Isn't that system intelligence saying that, okay, you have defined a rule saying that whenever it needs a repair or replacement, then raise me an alert. And it's giving me that intelligence. I can see the photo, location, all the information. And now I would like to see the sketching associated with it. So just go for the sketching. Oh, this is the drawing that has been done. Let me see the asset locations as well. You can see the asset location right here, which has been marked for shift over here. I can see the other asset locations as well. Let me shift the mode. If I just want to see and edit it, okay. The administrator feels that this is not the right. How much is the variation by? Let me just measure the variation. So probably we're talking about a 130 meters, 100 meters shift. Okay. So I see this 100 meters shift. And I actually would like to modify it saying that, okay, this is not the exact location of it because it's at the junction of a road crossing. I do not want to do it over here. I want to extend it further down. Okay. And I'll say, okay. I just like to extend it. So I'll say, extend it over here. And then move this marker. I'll move the marker over here and then save it. Right. So my new marking has been saved now by my administrator information. If I just step back now, it's pending for review with moderator 1 so that he can see this information. If I want to send this information as there's a change, I can email this across or generate a PDF straight away. I'll just say, okay, send this information to Karthik in a PDF format to notify him there is a change in a network pole location. Pole inspections, which are frequently done for an electric industry, pretty easy to do it through this application. Now I would switch on and say, okay, let me log into the application as moderator first, because my application is saying it is waiting for review with him, right? Log into the application. What are waiting for my approvals? Okay, I see asset inspections over here. Okay, this is my job. It says pending for review for me. I viewed the information. I can very well edit it and say, okay, That's it, condition not good. So fine, what I would do is that now I would like to see the sketching, the corrections that have been done. Okay. And then probably come back and say, I would approve this and say, send a reminder to field team to continue with replacement and the required approvals are taken care. I submit it. So it is moved out of my bucket. And when I come over here and see now, it's in the moderator 2 bucket because that's how I designed it. I said that when I'm doing an inspection workflow, it needs to traverse from moderator 1 to moderator 2, moderator 2 to the respective in charge. So these workflows can very well be designed for each process. You can design your own workflow. I just come over here and say, create a new workflow from a moderator to one other person and say, save workflow. So I'm designing a new workflow on the fly without requiring to manually create something in the system, right? So information capturing has been done. You can export this information into Excel sheets or PDF sheets, or you can very well get the approval process done. There's a validation being done and you're able to associate the GIS layers as well. While you do all these things, when you say there's a do it yourself, we also say that the respective security concerns that needs to be taken are also taken care of, because we have the device management also in place. Only the approved devices can access the system, and whenever you see some device or user has left the organization, you can very well remove it from the system remotely. And a key aspect is that it works both on your Android device, iOS device, and whatever data capturing you're doing on the mobile device can also be done using the web application. That's where I talk about ability to use anyway at any time. How much relevant was this use case when I do the demonstration? We have spoken about the ease of use. We have spoken about the configurable. So how do you find a relevance to this now? When we talk about go mobile first, when you talk about raising alarms, simplified approvals, complete reliability, do you see a relevance with this now? Thanks, Craig. Thanks for confirming that. It's really useful when you actually design a system like this, which can ensure that you talk about your health and safety department who is taking care of on-field security. You have a digital app for them. You're talking about a GIS team. You have a digital app for them. You're talking about a third-party contractor doing inspections for you. You have an app for them. But have you invested in 3 apps? No. You're just investing in your digital transformation journey once, and you're reaping the benefits of it every day, every process, everywhere. That's where we see a phase shift where we talk about a silo digital transformation versus a holistic transformation, bringing a complete transformation of how your field solutions need to work. And I'm sure your field crew or back office team will not get afraid when you say the word digitization. They will find the word friendly when you give them of this capability for them to work with. Agree? Right? See, I've worked with organizations for more than 15 customers of large corporations, which is a good amount to understand and tell that, okay, this process will work. Now, let me give you something more exciting. You use WhatsApp number over there. Just add that number to your WhatsApp and just type in a message, hi. And you will see something really magical. This is an example that without even requiring to install a mobile application on your device, you can actually enable your field information provision to your field teams, higher level stakeholders on their mobile devices. It's a bot, it's a Fieldon bot that gives you a capability to perform inspections from remotely. Just add that number to your WhatsApp and you will see the magic that it can do. I'll give you a live experience. That's something you can really enjoy. If you have not written down the number, just write it down: +61 422 005 596. Okay. So, in short, there are various use cases where we talk about inspections being performed on regular level with asset maintenance plans, surveys, audits, safety inspections, pole installations or inspections, pre and post analysis of the work sites, workflow approvals and cycles. It's all relevant. I would just say, if you want to automate your field operations at any point, anywhere, Fieldon is one such solution. You can find other solutions in the market, but Fieldon is one solution that can help you out. The benefit you get with Fieldon is that the team that is associated with it has a larger experience in terms of performing these digital transformations with an understanding of in-house enterprise systems like GIS and ERP and SAP. It's a one-house solution for you. There have been some key drivers. These numbers have been derived with the various organizations, a few of the customers that I've shown you, where we have seen there has been more than 97% of approvals being done on time, adding value not only to the contractor, because his payments are cleared quickly, so he is very interested to use the application, but also the work which has been done, there's a digital proof for you. You talk about carding for giving the outage information notification, where a penalty is being put forward if you actually miss a card. Third-party contractor missed to drop a card. You know that if the card has not been dropped, not dropped at exact location right now, because the system is telling you that information. You're performing an asset, a cathodic, a CP monitoring for an gas asset. You know the PSP on and PSP off values right now, whether the system is rating an alert. You're doing a pole inspection, pole installation. You know the age of the pole, type of the pole, photo of the pole. You have references. So whatever we talk about the skilled workforce, right? That skilled workforce is being transformed, that knowledge is being transformed into the system, so that tomorrow anyone comes into the system, it's a skilled workforce, right? Great. So that is where we try to help you out. This is few of the insights that I wanted to bring you today. I hope whatever you have written on your paper as your pain statement, you found a solution for it. If not, I'm still here. You can drop me a question and I will be able to answer you with respect to that. Just before we leave, let me just recap to you something that you have seen this morning. You have seen this morning how you can actually invest once in an application that can help you design your own number of forms and apps on a day-to-day basis, unlimited times, without reinvesting. 2, you have given a way where you're giving system and intelligence to raise an alarm for you when the data is not inappropriate. 3, you're able to use the application with relevance to your GIS system for visualizing your network and also capturing you have. Before I reveal the surprise I have for you in the store today, I promised you for a surprise, right? I have a surprise for you. I'll bring it on. But let me just take questions if there are any, or anything that someone wants to know.
Thank you, Karthik. That was absolutely very informative and well done. So thank you for the time. Love to hear from the audience of any questions that that Karthik can answer, or take on notice and get back to you directly, or anyone else that's interested. So the floor is open to the audience, and we look forward to getting the questions. There's a couple of questions coming through now. All right, the first one, we won't mention names, but we just put the question out there. Karthik, can you see the first 2 questions coming through?
Yes. I can see that question. Okay. For companies with a large amount of inspections to do, is there a way to do a bulk upload of data to create tasks for these? Yes. There is a possibility when you design it, when we have created a task, right? You would have seen there is a small option at the bottom of it which says upload an Excel sheet. If you upload an Excel sheet, you can upload a bulk data, so that instead of someone entering the data manually, all this data is available on the device for manually entering it. That's one way to do it. 2, if you have a system where you are actually getting the task scheduled or this job to be scheduled, there is an adapter provided for integrating with that system, so that automatically when you're creating a job in any of the systems, that gets transferred over here. I hope that answers your question, Helen.
Thank you, Kathy. And the second question is, how does Fieldon work at locations without comms coverage?
Okay, if you're referring to the coverage with respect to internet, where there's no network coverage, there's a possibility for you to go offline, wherein you can download the data first, and then when you go offline, you can capture the information, save it, and once you're back, you can actually resubmit it to the server. There's actually one more flow associated, wherein when the information is submitted and that information is not relevant, that can be rejected and then notified to field engineer to redo the data capture as well. I hope that answers your question.
So when you get comms back, it will sync with the system and everything will update that's relevant.
Yes.
Fantastic. Next question, Karthik. Does the app feed back into programs and enterprise applications like SAP?
Yes, it can do it. We have the application also extends an adapter where all the information that is being collected can be exchanged with any of your in-house enterprise systems. We have these integrations in place with most of our customers. That's where we frequently use the word of SAP or GIS systems, because that are active integrations that our customers using currently.
Fantastic. A couple more questions coming through. Does the application and Fieldon have a back-end cloud solution to perform reporting and analytics?
Okay, we don't have an inbuilt analytics system. We do have a reporting. Reporting can be performed. With respect to analytics, we have a capability to exchange this data with Power BI, Tableau, or our kind of analytics system, and get the reports displayed into the Fieldon system. So data is friendly for traversing through any of the analytical systems.
Fantastic, thank you. And if anyone's interested in additional information, please email us, and we'll, if you had any more questions or you think of any other questions after this webinar, please email us and we'll get back to you with all the relevant information and have a one-on-one discussion with you that we'll be more than happy to follow up with you. Next question is, have we developed a connection into Infor? Infor is a asset management enterprise application ERP system in Australia. Well, it's actually global, but that's very common in Australia and New Zealand. Do we have that integration, Karthik, or is this something that we can do?
We do have an adapter, which is RESTful APIs, which can integrate with systems like Infor, which are asset management systems like ERP systems, for exchanging the data, retrieving, and both information retrieval and also pushing back the information. We have worked with one of the use cases I would like to actually highlight over here, wherein assets were being barcoded. Some of their assets which are on the field before the construction, when the construction was pretty long ago, so they wanted to barcode all their assets. So we retrieved all the information from their asset management system, and in Fieldon we generated the barcode for each of these assets, so that the barcodes can be sticked on the field to the assets. So all the assets were fetched from the asset management system, and all the barcodes were generated in the Fieldon system. So I'm pretty sure the capability with the APIs, it will allow for integration with Infor. However, we have not done any active integration in the Australian region for Infor yet. But the other asset management systems for which ERP systems that we have worked with Hewlett Packard's asset management system. We work with GE's asset management system. So yeah, there are other asset management systems. Again, complying to the industry standards, it works with.
Yep, and to highlight, team, for those who, in Australia and New Zealand that might be worried about data sovereignty and security and the rest of it, it's all hosted in Australia and New Zealand. So any regulatory compliance and requirements are all being catered for and adhered to. So there's no risk of data leaving our shores and getting into the hands of the bad people. So that's something that Karthik and the team have put a fair bit of effort into ensuring compliance to Australian regulatory rules. Any other questions from the audience before Karthik reveals his surprise? We don't even know what it is, so we're looking forward to finding out what that is. So any questions? Give it a couple of more seconds just in case someone's thinking. Okay, Karthik, over to you for the big reveal, mate.
Okay, so as that you're here, instead of giving one surprise to you, I want to give you two surprises. Would you be happy with that? How many of you want this surprise to be revealed? Just type in yes. Just type yes. So that I can give that surprise. I'm really happy you're here. So I want to give you this surprise. The first surprise, you would have an Uber voucher on your email at the end of this presentation. That is something for you, for being over here in this presentation. That's one. I hope that makes you smile, but now I want to make that smile bigger for you. So what is that I have for you? When we actually give this Fieldon application for 3 months for someone to try it out and say that, okay, if you want to try out in the real time, a 3 months license cost of around 1050 AUD. If you're hosting it in Australian cloud, we are costing around 1500 AUD for that. Security, SL certificates, complying everything, you get at 500 AUD. And then an expert consulting, like someone sitting with you and helping you discharge your forms, organize your workflow, everything. In total, you actually spend around 3,350 to 4,000 AUD for 3 months trial to be set up. That's a standard price that we actually charge our customers for getting the trial done. As because you're on this webinar, we wanted to give you something special, and it lasts only till the end of this webinar. And what is that? How much? We are giving you this 3 months trial, not at 3,350 AUD, not at 2,000 AUD. I have a real surprise for you, which is specific to this webinar. You just need to pay 399 AUD to get a free trial, to get a trial of Fieldon application for 3 months with an expert consultation, taking care of all the security and cloud hosted solution without you requiring to set up any infrastructure, everything in the Australian region, and implement the digital transformation journey you're talking about, experience it, and then invest it. I'm not saying you invest first and then experience it. I'm saying at 399, get an experience of it. You don't need, I'm just saying the cost it's 10, less than 10% of what the actual cost people pay to get a trial of the application. This is only because you're on this webinar. We are giving away this special offer to you. There is a registration link provided in the chat box by my team. I want you to register if you want to experience this solution in your organization for a trial. I'll be able to give it only for few. So I would say, if you come, it's a first come, first serve, register yourself. My team will get back to you or further how the trial will be set up for you and how you can take care of make use of it. This lasts only till we close out the webinar. So registration link is available in the chat box. I see participants coming in registering for the free trial. I'm really happy for it. Don't miss out on the opportunity. Just register itself and you'll take the maximum out of it. You'll get the maximum worth of it. I hope you enjoyed this conversation today and the two surprises, sweet gifts we want to give you this Thursday morning with a lot of gratitude and happiness for you being on this webinar.